So I have no idea. Like, isn't tequila cactus? Please let it be cactus.
Yeah, I thought it was agave.
Isn't agave a cactus, right?
I think it's a succulent.
Which is a cactus.
I think a cactus is a succulent.
Exactly. So blue agave, or the blue Weber agave, right, named after the German scientist who discovered it, named it, is what is used to make tequila and has to be used to make tequila. Otherwise, you can't call it tequila.
One of the like hard seltzers. They were really good. I'm really excited.
I do like a hard seltzer.
It
took a while to catch on. We were like cocktail in a can, and now we're like cocktail in a can.
Oh no, I was on hard seltzer from the beginning because I was like, are you telling me it's like a cocktail but has significantly less alcohol in it? And they were like, yes. And I was like, I'm in.
I do remember not remembering some nights with White Claws with you. So that
I can still go hard. I mean, that was also like in the middle of my 3-year breakdown. So I was going to say, what is you'd make the drinks, the damn right drinks. So how do you then take the tequila? I love that you brought props. This
product
is the
placement.
Best. And I've had these. These are so good.
I remember she didn't get paid for this. Takes about a week.
We got a twofer.
Yeah, see?
Tequila, I got beer as well.
We're double fisting over here.
And what's wrong with that?
Nothing. No, we're happy.
I mean, like, come on, man. Don't knock my favorite.
I feel like that's a tale as old as time. The tequila in one hand and nice Modelo in the other.
It's called chasers. You know?
Oh no, you can't use alcohol as a chaser. That's no. I don't like that. I don't
think you're going to be allowed in Britain ever.
Hey bestie, welcome to the party. It's We're Experts Now. I'm your co-bestie, Rebecca.
Whoop whoop. I'm your other co-bestie, Jackie. I almost said host and then I tried to swing around to do it. Besties, I actually like calling everyone our besties. I kind of love that. They are our besties in our heart. They hang out with us every week. And
yeah, when you're here, you're besties. That's
so
We're
true.
Expert Now promise.
It really is. Like, you know what? I hope everyone does feel like we're hanging out because you know what? Bex and I don't even get to hang out very often. If you haven't figured out in how many episodes we have at this point that we do not live in the same city, this is almost our hanging out. And you know what? You're joining us every time that you do it. It's you, us, an expert, just having a nice magic. Patriarchy. So.
Oh yes.
What have you been up to lately?
I've been out here being a straight up expert. Psych. I haven't. I've been goofing. I am getting into, the comedy scene, making my friends, trying to see and be seen. So I got invited to a little birthday party at this club that's very up and coming. And I was like, okay, gonna look cute, gonna go out. And I'm there with my friend and we're running into people. And it's great. It's like, okay, this is it. I'm meeting new friends in the industry. I'm with, someone who's in the industry. It's all the good LA vibes that you want in the networking arena. And then I realize my ex is there.
Oh, no.
And I had I have some extrovert energy in me, some antisocial introvert energy in me. And I feel like when I saw this person, I was like, oh, yay, it's this person I like. And I had sort of puppy dog extrovert energy. And then I realized they were there with their new girlfriend. And immediately the introvert came back and I was like, pretend that we didn't just lock eye contact, run away. And then I was like, well, that's rude. I should go back and say hi. And so I turned around and I was like, oh, I can't do this. Mm-mm. And so then we just, we scampered to another area of the party. And then it was like we were synced. Like every time I wanted to go to the bathroom, they were on their way to the bathroom. Every time I was going to the bar, they were going to the bar. It was like we were at one point almost back to back. And I was like, I was like, let's do it. Let's do an icebreaker. Everyone change spots in the circle. So I'm not standing with my back next to this person that I used to, touch butts with. So
you were not on a date yourself then?
No, but that was actually a concern running through my head. I was like, do they think that I'm here with this new person? So I was trying to be like, look, we're not holding hands. We're bros. We're elbowing
Oh,
each other. Like,
I would have done the same. I remember, so Carl, years ago, this guy used to like follow me around and be very interested in me. And I had told him no so many times. And Carl knew that if this guy ever like ran into us in public, Carl would hold my hand and pretend to be my boyfriend. And the guy would still hit me up later that night. I would be like, no, I don't know how to tell you. One time he sent me a dick pic and I sent him a dick pic back. And
ultimate alpha move. I love that.
right? Like I was just like, I am not interested. I do not know how to get that across to you. So
yeah, weirdly
I
my
love
reaction
that you want the opposite.
Yeah, weirdly my reaction was like, no, I want to be here standing on my own 2 feet. If you know me for anything, I want it to be because this person is successful in the comedy space as well. So it's like, if you know me for anything, I want it to be that I'm a successful comedian about town.
Back to our Nepo baby convo.
Yeah, I want that. I'm working on nepotism for my future offspring. So yeah.
Proud of you.
So I don't know. I'll learn how to navigate. And then I was like, should I text to follow up and be like, sorry if I was weird? And then I was like, no, they're not texting
never
me.
Text.
They're
you
not
never
texting
text
me.
after that. Wow.
So just thought I could tell you and my besties about that. And,
just this close little circle. Oh my God. What if your ex is a listener? Shout out.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. No hard feelings. And I'm not a hard feelings person. Like I care about this person. I just felt like it was like, oh, this person's clearly on a date with their new significant other. And I don't want to, I don't know, make it weird for it or insert myself in this situation unnecessarily. Go.
You should have inserted yourself. You should have gotten right in the middle of it.
Tough.
No, I'm kidding. Do not do that. Do not be toxic.
Oh, Jackie said get in the middle. Okay.
No, we're not being toxic. My natural instinct is to be toxic. If I'm really being honest, like my basic bitch inner self really wants to be toxic, but like my, trained real core self is like, no, we're a good person now. No, like we don't do drama. No, not for the attention even. Keep your hands in your
not even for the attention.
Not even for the attention, I know. But I do love a little drama in the life.
Little
if you know what
contact.
I mean. Okay.
Wow, well, speaking of drama, what's the tea for today?
Oh, such a good. We're not having tea. That's actually such a great question. We are not having tea. You want to know what we're having, Bex? Tequila.
That has a tea in it.
It does have a tea in it. We're taking shots today, baby. We're getting wild. We are doing all of the things.
I love tequila. I know some people are like, oh, I can't drink vodka. It was the first thing I got drunk on. Now it makes me sick, whatever. Or like tequila's too much of an upper, which I think that's a myth. I don't even know.
No, it is an upper and I love it. It's like tequila and vodka is all I drink. Well, for hard alcohol, and I don't drink hard alcohol often, but when I do, it's those two. I love tequila. I love shots of tequila.
Now, what's your shot style? Are you doing some licking the hand, putting a little salt on it? Got the lime chaser?
I do. I am partial to that. I am also partial to a little pineapple back. So,
that's a fun tip. I like that.
I am a hard seltzer girl. So our guest this week, has a company that makes tequila hard seltzer, and I believe they make tequila too. They have to make the tequila to put in the seltzer, I feel like. So I've definitely had the seltzers, and holy moly, they are so good because it has the essence of tequila that like I personally love. Like I do like the taste of tequila. It's one of the few alcohols that I'm like, that actually tastes good, but it's not like overpowering. So it's like fruity, like a White Claw, but has that like tequila hint in it, and you're like, yes, thank you.
Yeah, tequila to me is one of those kind of like old school. There's like a traditional classic kind of way to make it that I don't hear of it being messed with too often in like terms of infusion, because you have all sorts of flavored vodkas and barrel aged whiskeys and things, but it's like tequila's like they just buried in the ground and cover it with coals or something.
I have no idea how you make tequila. I have no idea, honestly. The only alcohol I really know how to make is wine. and that's because that's really the only one I would ever even consider making.
Hmm.
So I have no idea. Like, isn't tequila cactus? Please let it be cactus.
Yeah, I thought it was agave.
Isn't agave a cactus, right?
I think it's a succulent.
Which is a cactus.
I think a cactus is a succulent.
Is
Is
agave
tequila made from?
No, we're not looking that up. We'll find that out later. Is agave made from cactus?
Made from cactus. When two cactus plants love each other very much, they make an agave.
Most people assume that agave plant is a type of cactus, but it's actually a sweet succulent that is related to the lily family.
Oh.
Wow.
I love succulents. They're my favorite type of plant. I love also carnivorous plants. Saracanthes nepenthes is my favorite. Sarracenia nepenthes. And pitcher plants. I love Venus flytraps. Succulents are a beautiful variety as well. But yeah, I think cactus is just its own kind of succulent.
Okay, so agaves have leaves where cactus don't.
Agave have leaves where cactus don't. Oh, cactus don't have leaves.
Mm-hmm,
Cactus are all trunk.
That's the big difference between the two. So, yes, you were right. I always thought that succulents were a type of cactus, but I guess you're right. A cactus is a type of succulent. That totally makes a lot more sense, but in my head, it did not. Okay, so, but either way, we're saying that tequila is made out of agave, right? It's made out of a
because you always have to ferment or distill something, for these spirits. And so I guess it's like the sugar content in agave, because they make agave syrup, agave nectar, which I use in my daily smoothie.
So you just take a bunch of agave, put it in a bottle, and let it sit?
Wait till it gets hot and fizzy. I think this is for mezcal, but I know that there's some liquor we use that you bury it under the ground with like hot ash on top. I think that's what the smoky taste is in mezcal.
Okay.
But tequila, I think, I don't know. Maybe you just like age
Tequila's
it.
not always smoky. Yeah, I think you can get a smoky tequila, I think, but I think it's smoky tequila is mezcal.
Yeah, so I think for just straight up tequila, you're just setting aside your agave extract. I'm like, would my agave syrup ever turn into tequila? Like, I don't fully understand where the alcohol comes in and how pure it is.
Well, if you have wine long enough, it turns to vinegar. So maybe with the agave, well, no, because it'll crystallize. So you need to ferment it somehow. So like when you make kimchi and stuff, don't you have to add like,
what do you add to kimchi? Yeah, is it?
I've never made it.
Sugar, and then like, because kimchi and like probiotics have lactobacillus, and so that comes from like a sugar bacteria.
Okay, so you take some stuff.
I said things that weren't true there, and I regret it, but
it sounded good. It was like when we were in Mexico, and I totally 100% believed everything that you said, and then you kept getting 2 dishes of everything.
It was right. It was just twice.
And every time people would look at you confused, and you would be like, yes.
Like, yep.
Okay, so you take some stuff, you put it in a bottle or maybe a barrel.
Ooh, yeah. What are we thinking? Maybe a cask of ceramic. I'm going to go, it's going in porcelain. No.
Porcelain. I'm going with it goes in like a...
You think wood barrel? Like whiskey?
No, I didn't say wood. I didn't actually say anything. I was going to say clay, and then I realized...
that might be too porous, right?
Yeah, it also seems like that clay would like leach into the tequila.
And I know there's different types, right? There's reposado and añejo.
But I think those are like, it's usually the color, like, and I think
reposado means rested, and añejo is gold, so it's like that's the like, and then platinum.
Yes. Or silver. You can get silver too.
I think silver might be the bottom.
Okay, we need to know what types of tequila there are. We need to know what tequila is made out of for sure.
Mm-hmm.
How do you ferment it? What do you or distill it?
And like,
And
why do you get into it, and how do you sell it? And
you cook it. I think you cook it. You have to cook it.
wow, eureka moment right here. Da na 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 na. Tequila.
No, I think you have to cook because you have to get like bacteria out of everything. I think that activates sugar and stuff. It mixes all together and then you let it cool. Because like when you make, what is it called when you live in prison and you make that stuff?
Oh,
You got to put it by like a
yeah.
radiator or a
Toilet
heater for a
wine or
while.
something.
Well, but that's when you just like, I think that's when you let it sit, but you first got to get it hot.
Yeah, because then it's about, I think, because that's where like the bacteria and the sugar comes in. Because I think once the bacteria eats the sugar, it leaves behind alcohol.
Sure. Yeah. And then that alcohol makes more alcohol. And they have
Like
alcohol
Jesus.
babies. That's why people have sex on alcohol, because it's alcohol making alcohol babies.
Also, if we're talking about tequila and the tequila song, we of course have to say rest in peace, Paul Rubens.
Sad.
Did you know about that, Jackie?
I think I read about this last night, but I didn't know who it was. I read a list last night in bed that was like 59 people that died in like the last year or something. And I was like, I know 3 of these people.
Well, he did Pee-wee's Playhouse and Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and he did
That's
the famous
right.
dance to
Okay,
Tequila.
I do remember. Yeah. Ew. No, he's no.
Ew,
Not a fan.
no, you. He is a legend. You know what? I will not have you besmirch his name on this podcast. So we'll get back to
Wasn't
this thing
he
we
like
can
a
agree
creeper?
on. No, that was a miscommunication, and it was completely unfair. He was at an adult theater stimulating himself at an adult theater, not with seeing a cartoon with kids. Okay, that's
No, I know that, but
fine.
there was other stuff.
No, there's nothing else. He's beyond reproach.
This I will Google.
He's immaculate in his conception.
He's immaculate. Sinister scandals.
No. Paul Rubens was a champion of the arts and humanities.
I also just Pee Wee Herman freaked me out, and I did not like him at all.
Well, you weren't a weird girl.
I was a weird girl. I just like that kind of shit freaks me out. Adults acting like kids, I do not like. I do not like one bit.
He is like the living cartoon.
He really is, and I hate cartoons as well. Cartoons really also freak me out. So like none of this is surprising. Yeah, in 2002, police claimed that they found dozens of child pornography images and memorabilia in his home.
Mm-mm.
He insisted that they were simply pieces of historical art.
Unsubstantiated.
Okay, we'll do a deep dive on this later. Also, but rest in peace, like, unless you really are creepy, and then, you know what, fuck off. But back to the real episode.
Something we can all agree on. Tequila. Tequila Mockingbird.
Okay, so yeah, I think actually that's one of the drink names. I want to say that it is. One of the like hard seltzers. They were really good. I'm really excited.
I do like a hard seltzer. It took a
love
while to catch on. We were like cocktail in a can, and now we're like cocktail in a can.
Oh no, I was on hard seltzer from the beginning because I was like, are you telling me it's like a cocktail but has significantly less alcohol in it? And they were like, yes. And I was like, I'm in.
I do remember not remembering some nights with White Claws with you. So that
I can still go hard. I mean, that was also like in the middle of my 3-year breakdown. So give me a break. Anyways, so tequila. Okay, so first you make the tequila, then how do you make it into a seltzer? I feel like it sounds pretty easy.
Just put some carbonated water, air in there. But also, like, where do you do it? Like, do you have to get a kitchen space?
Stream.
Soda Stream. That's a product.
That killed me. I know, but that killed me. You just Soda Stream in it. I don't know why. Just like some guy running a giant company, just every night with his Soda Stream, just pumping it into seltzer. Just like filling up each can. Okay, I'm almost there.
Well,
We're
you
gonna
know
be
how
the
you have the
biggest.
little elves who put the dew on the grass in the morning? They come in and they blow little air bubbles into your tequila, and then there you go, it's carbonated. But I'm wondering, like, do you have to
You
have like
should
a
make a
kitchen
tequila
with a
commercial. That was sweet.
certification or
Well,
a
you have to get something passed by like
health
the OSHA.
inspector?
Yeah, we talked about this in the festivals episode. The same people are actually all of that stuff that I talked about then are all going to come check out the health department, like
The
liquor
fire
license.
department.
Everyone, yeah, they're all going to want to see what you're doing before you even open. So you have to have probably like a warehouse or a store. I'm sure you could do it in your house, but I
Yeah, and
imagine
how
you'd have to.
much happens beforehand? Do you like already know who your distributor is going to be and have a deal lined
No,
up?
because you
And
got to be able to sell it. So I imagine it's one of those things that unless you're like, my dream has always been to open a seltzer tequila company. Like, unless that is your very specific dream and you one day make it happen, I imagine you like start at home and you're like, oh, I want to learn how to make tequila, right? And then you make tequila a couple times. It's like, oh my God, everyone loves your tequila. And then like, you make a little bit more, and then you're like, oh, now I make these little seltzer drinks and people love it. And you're just like, oh, like, why not give it a shot? So I imagine for unless it's like your dream and you're like went to school to open this or something, I imagine you probably start off pretty small at your house with like friends and family before you like go out and like start a whole business.
I also wonder, does tequila have a shelf life? Are you like, okay, we've made all the tequila, we got to find a buyer, or you're like, it's alcohol, it's just that it gets better? Or are you also, once you, separate question, like let's say your tequila is made from a certain brand of agave, or you put this or that in it, do you have to credit those people or pay them some sort of money?
Well, you have to buy the product. No, you don't have to credit them. What was the question right before that? Because I think I had something for
Shelf
that.
life.
So I think that you barrel things, right? So, like with wine, for example, once you bottle it after it's barreled, that kind of like starts that clock, right? And then it really depends on how you store it, which is why people have wine cellars. Because if wine is kept at the right temperature, it's only going to get nicer.
Yeah.
But if I'm keeping my tequila in a hot warehouse, I imagine that's going to affect the taste and the flavor. So that's going to be your concern.
Hmm.
So I wonder that if once you bottle it, if that has an effect on the shelf life, because I imagine like in the barrel, it's doing its thing. And then I don't know if it continues to do its thing if you bottle it or like, if it doesn't matter if you bottle it as long as you keep it at this temperature or kind of what. But I imagine that you can't just make a bunch of tequila and sometime over the next 50 years plan to sell it, right? I imagine it's probably within like 5 or so years, you'd probably want to get rid of it, would be my guess.
Yeah. And
It's
then do you have
probably
a
flavor and taste.
factory? Wow, there's so much that I feel like if I was starting on this journey, I would do a lot of Googling and figuring out like what kind of equipment do I need to buy? How much space is this going to take up? What's my initial seed money it's going to require to do this? Is there a good market for this? Does the market need
Mm.
another new tequila? Do I like drinking tequila? Like, I don't know. It's so many factors.
I mean, totally. I actually, one of my exes, his brother has a whiskey company. And I think they were a very different scenario than what our guest is, because our guest, I believe he worked in marketing for a long time,
Oh.
he had a career before this, right? So successful person, enjoyed what he did, I think, and this is now his new pursuit. Whereas my ex-boyfriend's family, this was like all they did. Like the wife was like an artist, she was like a painter, and they did like odd side jobs, but the whiskey company was it, right? And they spent the majority of their time growing that, marketing it, getting into stores. So I think the amount of work and the equipment and everything you have is really going to dependent on like what's your startup, because I think, not to put them on blast, but I'm pretty sure they got a decent size amount of money from my ex-boyfriend's parents to start that company. They were a wealthy
Hmm.
family. I think they were able to get some of that seed money to start it up, rent their warehouse, all of that, where I think it just depends on each person.
Yeah, and then also, um, Did I just forget what I was going to say? Oh yeah, because with beer, there was the big craft movement in beer to
Mhm.
like start brewing your own beer. You can do all these kinds of inclusions. You can brew them in whiskey casks, so then they
Mhm.
take on whiskey. You can add flavors, coconut, coffee, all
Mhm.
these different things. And there's a whole culture around that. Beer snobs and people who do meetups. And then whiskey was the next thing. I think what was it Eagle Rare? Oh, Buffalo Trace. I really like. There was like then we started getting craft whiskeys, which you think, oh, that takes a little bit longer to distill, so it's a little bit harder. And but there's still like that culture around like sipping whiskey with your boys and cigars.
But I think
But
it exists in a lot of
tequila
places.
tequila is interesting because then you're bringing in sort of like a new kind of cultural interest in that. And yeah,
But
I'm
you
interested.
have it with gin too. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people who do the same thing with gin. I think the only one that we really haven't seen like a big like, oh, let's have a vodka tasting club. Like
I
I
mean,
feel like
that's called Russia.
I or the club, right? Like like I think vodka like I don't know.
In
It's
Russia, you don't taste vodka. Vodka tastes you.
yeah, it's true.
I'm a gin girly. I love gin, and yeah, you can do all sorts of infused cucumber, melon, mint.
I don't want to taste my alcohol. If I'm real, like I am doing it for a very specific reason and it is not to taste it. So if I if I'm
I get
honest,
that. I like the taste of gin. I don't really like the taste of beer. It's like once I broke up with my ex-boyfriend, I was like, oh, I actually don't have to drink beer. I didn't know that was an option. I'm like, and someone could bring me the best IPA in the world, and I'd be like, yeah, this tastes like a handful of coins. Like I just hate the taste of hops. They make a drink that's non-alcoholics, just hops. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
so you just want the
gross.
bad part of this?
Yeah,
But I get it, just I won't yuck
hot
anyone
mess.
else's yum. I would drink straight up vinegar. I want sours and saisons and
I
things
like
that just taste sour.
I've been gluten free for too long. I feel like I would like a sour because I love like yeah, I love tart things. I honestly alcohol is not really my thing anymore. Like I said, tequila or vodka if I'm going to drink hard alcohol. Otherwise, I'm pretty much exclusively drinking wine cuz yeah, that's
I just love salt. I love how good
no.
salt goes with tequila. It's like I just want an excuse to lick salt off a glass, put some tequila in there.
I'm glad you said glass. I thought you were going to go in a different direction. I haven't done body shots in a really long time. Not that I ever plan on doing those again, but
Hey.
too old for that. But I think we have a lot of questions about how you make tequila, what's it made out of, what's the process like. I think I got a lot more questions on like how you like market that then.
Yeah.
How do you market it then? Like, do you go to frat parties and be like, my boys, like I got the booze, or is it like festivals, bars?
Hmm.
Do you try to get into storefronts, or do you try to get a restaurant to like have like a special drink? Like, oh, this is our
Yes.
Tequila Tuesday with this
Hmm.
place. So I think I'm interested in the process, and then like how do you pick flavors? How do you pick the right flavor? How do you be like, oh, this is what a kiwi tequila seltzer is supposed to taste like?
And like, yeah, what makes your tequila, if you're not going to do flavor, what makes your tequila stand out from other tequilas that could just be doing the same thing?
And market testing, and how can I help?
And can I have some?
I've had some. It's good, actually. So I think do you have any other questions for our guest?
No, clearly I'm ready to go on this topic. Bottoms up. Welcome back, fellow mixologists. We're experts now. We're going to get shaken and stirring here. Jackie, who do we have with us?
Well, we have what we've decided today that we're almost cousins. My relative Mark here, family through family, is going to talk to us about some tequila today and some tequila-like drinks. Mark, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Sure thing. Well, I do like that you basically put in plausible deniability about the fact that we're related. I think that's good for both of us, probably better
Yeah.
for you. So I'm Mark. I am a person who founded a company called Damn Right Cocktails, which is the only organic 100% de agave tequila canned cocktail. Before that, I was the chief marketing officer of a company called Tres Agaves, which is a tequila, but also the number one selling margarita mix by dollar volume in the United States.
I was going to say, powered a few of my study sessions in school.
And, we like to think that we've contributed to the better future and poorer livers of everyone. But remember, always drink in moderation, people.
Always moderation.
I had to say that. The other thing is, I was a marketer for a really long time. I worked in advertising for a long time. I worked in consulting, doing a lot of customer service experience work. I ran marketing for various companies. So that's my background. And, that's the kind of approach that I brought into the beautiful alcohol business. And some of that work in marketing was for alcohol brands. So yeah, there we go.
Very glamorous business, I must imagine.
It's a lot. There's a glamorous side to it, and it's a lot of fun, but it's a very tough business because of the way that alcohol laws are structured in the United States. So more on that later.
Okay, yeah, we'll
burn after drinking. Yeah. Okay. Well, how did Jackie and I do on our boozy breakdown from part 1?
So where I come from, in the school I was in, we always gave marks out of 10, right? And a 6 out of 10 was a pass. I'd have to give you a 5. You were kind of almost you guys got a lot of things right. And I think between the two of you, it was a great back and forth. Like, kudos, for example, knowing like that there was this thing called mezcal and it was different. And you actually got the production of mezcal really right on.
That was nice.
I definitely think there was, you talked about ceramic as a barrel. That's actually does get used. Then you started to talk about things like fizzing, things just sticking things in a bottle and letting them fizz and turn into vinegar. Things went off the walls. I mean, again, kudos that you actually took the time to look up what the agave plant was and that it's related to the lily family, which was awesome. So yeah, but we can enhance your knowledge. And I'm sure after a little while, and Mas Tequila, that you will be the experts that you would like to be.
Oh, I'm excited. You know what? I am a little afraid because I feel like on some of the sciencey episodes I actually scored higher starting off. So Bex and I are really good at drinking the tequila, and we're ready to be good at learning about tequila.
You know what? I think some of our very intelligent, scientific backgrounded people are willing to be more lenient because they're like, somebody's listening about science, but alcohol, we gotta shoot straight. Okay. We gotta,
you know what? I think that,
bite the worm.
You were almost there. And had you had some tequila, like before doing that bit of the podcast, I think you would have been like, awesome. But hey.
Oh my God, I had whiskey before this. Am I...
Disqualified, you're out. Gone.
Wow. We're going to distill the truth here.
I wouldn't sit here. I would get up and be like wandering around the house. Like I would literally, who knows what I would be. I couldn't sit here and talk to you though. That's the problem. I'm too much fun.
Is it an upper?
Slurring your words.
Is it true about that?
It is generally considered to be an upper, right? And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that the agave plant, now I am not a scientist, right? But what I understand is that tequila, because of the nature of the agave plant, has a low glycemic index. And because of that, and you're not like taking on too much sugar, you're not getting this rush and crash, right? So it does have this more kind of upper effect. Now, the agave plant itself actually has quite a lot of health benefits. Now, they get completely destroyed by making alcohol out of it, right? But the agave plant, and specifically, and we'll come on to this, the blue agave, right, or the blue Weber agave technically, has a product in it called inulin. So when people harvest the agave plant, sometimes they use it to make inulin, sometimes they use it to make tequila, sometimes they use it to make agave nectar. So, but that is the first thing, actually. There are many different types of agave plants.
Already confusing Jackie. Right? She's
like...
Well, I know blue agave because I have a hot girl breakfast every day of the week. Of the weekday, I do a very simple fruit and spinach smoothie, and I use a little bit of blue agave. I love that raw blue agave to sweeten it.
Exactly. So blue agave, or the blue Weber agave, right, named after the German scientist who discovered it, named it, is what is used to make tequila and has to be used to make tequila. Otherwise, you can't call it tequila. But
all kinds of tequila?
Yes.
Okay.
All kinds of tequila. Now, there are many, many other kinds of agave out there, including varietals like Espadín, which is the other one I can remember right now. Now, any kind of spirit that is made out of agave, right, any kind of distilled spirit, is a mezcal, right? It is called a mezcal. All tequila is a mezcal because it's a subvariety. Not all mezcal is a tequila, right? So a mezcal you can make out of any kind of tequila, any kind of agave, sorry, and a tequila is only out of one kind of agave. What's more, you can only make it in certain places. So you can only make tequila with agave grown in the state of Jalisco in Mexico, and in 7 or 8 other areas, like small metropolitan areas. So, like Champagne, right, which is tied to a place, and you can't call it Champagne if it ain't made in Champagne. Tequila is a denomination of origin protected name. And unsurprisingly, the Mexicans protect it pretty fiercely.
Yeah, otherwise it's just
right?
sparkling inebriation.
Exactly, or lily-related inebriation in this case. So you can make agave spirits, you just can't call it tequila. And the Mexican, there is a Mexican authority called the Consejo Regulador de Tequila, the Regulatory Council of Tequila. That is pretty darn strict about who makes tequila, who gets to call it tequila, etc.
Okay, I think you've already blown my mind a little bit because so you're saying all tequila is mezcal.
Yeah,
because
it's
see,
like
I
the
always thought
cactus it's like the
mezcal was
cactus
a
is to the
separate.
succulent. Yeah,
I
that's
thought
how
mezcal was like a
working my brain.
specialty, like separate thing, but that's already flipped my brain a little bit.
So if you want to think about it, you like science, right? So you want to think about it in terms of mathematical sets, right? Tequila is a subset of mezcal.
Okay.
What else is a mezcal then?
Well, there are various varieties. So a mezcal can be just a mezcal, right? And it's usually associated with the production method that you guys talked about, right? So, you take agave, you put it in you dig a pit, or there's a pit, you put hot coals or burning wood actually under it and over it, you cover it with leaves, and you let it slow roast, right? And so that's where you get the smoky flavor from mezcal, right? But there are other agave-based spirits as well. One is called raicilla, generally made in the west coast, the Pacific coast of Mexico, like around Puerto Vallarta. And it's kind of like, I would call it moonshine-ish. Like it's made from all kinds of agave, but you don't roast it, right? You don't fire roast it. You sort of steam roast it. But then when you're making it, you use very traditional things like, you ferment it in wooden barrels and itself, and you age it differently. And it's a kind of a little fruitier. And there's another one called Sotol. So yeah, but you can make mezcal from all over the country, even though it's most known as being from Oaxaca in the south, right? But you can really make it anywhere. Like I ran into a young lady who was making tequila in Durango, which is to the north. So
yeah, I do really associate mezcal with Oaxaca as well. Like there's a bar I go to that's at the bottom of a hotel called the Edmund near me, and the bartender he mentioned that he was from Oaxaca, and I was like, "Oh, does your family make mezcal?" He's like, "Actually," and he pulled the bottle off the shelf. He's like, "Here's my family's special brand."
Yeah, there's a lot of really, because agave grows wild. There's a lot of the producers in Oaxaca are super small. Right, it's very much like a cottage industry. Same with raicilla. Raicilla is definitely a cottage industry. There's very few big brands that get imported to the United States, whereas tequila, as we know, is massive.
Wow.
So that's mind-blowing thing. One about tequila. And then there are different types of tequila, right? So there is the tequila that ideally you did not drink growing up, right? Which is called misto tequila. And then there's the kind of tequila that you're getting more and more in the United States that's driving the growth of tequila, which is 100% de agave tequila. And what that means is that in 100% de agave tequila, all of the alcohol, or 99.8%, has to come from the agave plant, right? That's what it needs to get the 100% de agave tequila. If it is, then the next level is 52%, right? That's misto. And you can fill the rest of that alcohol with whatever you want. Corn alcohol, sugar-based alcohol. Basically, headache-driving alcohol. So that tequila you had in college that tasted like crap and gave you a horrible hangover, that was probably misto.
Okay.
what's happened over the years is that Americans have been going to Mexico a lot, and they've gotten to know this. What is this 100% pure de agave tequila? And we've had more and more Mexicans moving to the United States, so there's been education. And so now everyone's going, okay, I need to make sure I buy 100% de agave tequila because that is the stuff that tastes good. That's not going to give me a hangover, etc.
Yeah, that turned a few people off, I think, from tequilas when that unforgettable hangover you just transported when someone even says tequila, you know. And I'm always like, you have to give it a second chance. You got to get the reposado or what's the highest añejo? Is that the best? The gold?
Well, there's actually extra añejo.
Oh gosh,
gold and añejo are not the same thing. Gold is we'll come on to that. Gold is a marketing technique.
I've been marketed to. Yep.
You've been marketed to. Sue them, I say.
Mark's like, these were all my ideas, yes.
Yeah.
I have a cunning plan. So yeah, let's talk about how tequila gets made. So, yeah. I mean, you guys were not that far off on this. Well, I mean, stop there. Any questions?
I mean, so many. But I feel like you're actually doing a really good job of answering them as we go along. Like, they pop up, and then you, like, go. So I think I'm following.
Well, that was the thing I was the cloudiest on, was how it's actually made, because I was just like, well, I'm picturing wood barrels for, like, wine casks and whiskey, but, like, is that the same?
It's actually, no, you're absolutely right. So let's go from the beginning. So the agave plant itself, actually, first of all, the agave plant itself is a really interesting plant, survives in really dry conditions, but it takes 6 to 8 years to reach maturity.
Oh, wow.
Right? Which is amazingly huge. And interestingly, because there's been more and more demand for tequila, like, farmers are harvesting the agave earlier and earlier. So it's this big plant, right? They can be like 50, 60 kilos in weight. It has these massive leaves.
And so for our American audience, what's a kilo?
About 20, it's 2.2 pounds. So it's about 25 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically the version of, I think, you know, what happens is that the farmers go to the field, they use these very sharp blades on the end of a long stick called a koa to chop off the leaves, which gives this nice carved look, and then they harvest the agave, right? That comes, and then it gets roasted, right? Now, generally, traditionally, it would be roasted in a brick oven, right? You know, fire is done, tamped out, but it's really the steam, right, and the heat that's kind of getting it. Nowadays, it's cooked in what's called an autoclave, right? Just a big kind of steam oven, and it can take like 4 or 5 hours, sometimes 24 hours, like to roast, depending on the amount. So it comes out golden brown, and then you roll that out, and the agave is actually delicious. When you eat it, it tastes a bit like sweet potato, right? And then traditionally, it would be put in a big pit, and there would be a big stone wheel in there called a tejona. And a donkey would pull that wheel around in a circle, and that would crush the agave, and it would be run off. Now, there's usually a multi-stage roller mill that does that, right? And then sometimes there are more rapid methods to do that. Now, why does this matter? Because a lot of people will say, well, you know, the slow process of the tejona wheel, and some companies actually do that, right, still, or the roller mill is much better than a diffuser mill, which is the more rapid and more efficient way to do it, right? So some people say it affects the quality. Then you get agave nectar running off, right? That goes into traditionally big wooden like casks or you know, vats, you know, but at Tres Agaves we used steel. And then that is then you either add yeast or in many cases actually use the natural yeast in the air. You're using what's in the environment, and you let that ferment. And that usually takes 3, 4, 5 days, right? So now you've got fermented agave. You effectively have the ingredients for agave beer, right? Because it's about a beer level strength, and you just could carbonate it, and yeah, there you go.
Is there agave beer?
There is such a thing called agave beer. It's called pulque. I very rarely see it in the United States, but you can probably find it.
Is it gluten-free?
Well, yeah, it is gluten-free actually.
Okay, we're gonna try it.
There you go. It's like rice beer, so it's made for you, Jen.
I Someone just told me that rice beer
rice
didn't have
beer.
gluten in it, and I could have it, and I was like, "What?" Like I was mind blown. So, I guess I'm getting beer this weekend.
There's a bunch of gluten. There's a bunch of gluten-free beers out there. Right, Emission, Buck Wild.
Emission's like, eh.
I would agree. Sorry, Emission, but yeah.
Be better.
Jill, my wife is be best. No, my wife is gluten-free as well, so or is allergic to beer, so she tends to not be able to have it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So we knocked you off at the stage where it now fermenting.
So now we're at fermenting. So now we go into distillation. Okay, and distillation happens in copper stills, sometimes in metal stills, like same as for any other distillates, right? And there's definitely some things going on there that people have to pay a lot of attention to, because the first alcohols that get distilled are actually really, really bad for you. They're related to methane. They're very dangerous. So there has to be a lot of testing involved to making sure, and obviously experience to know that you're doing this right. So first distillation gets the alcohol level up to 23%, there or thereabouts. Second distillation, then it's distilled again, because 23% isn't really enough. So that now we're getting up to 51, 52%. Okay. Now we're talking some más fuerte, right? Like, very strong tequila, but still really, good stuff. Now, some companies, who shall remain nameless, lest they don't decide they don't like me, distill it a third time. Why do they do that? Because it makes it even smoother.
Okay.
Right? It doesn't up the alcohol that much, but it does make it smoother because it removes some of the harshness of the alcohols in there. However, it also destroys the flavor molecules. So I tend to find that tequila be very smooth, but doesn't taste it at all.
I'm gonna like that one. I'm a little wimp, and I'm gonna enjoy that. That's gonna be my fave.
Well, we're gonna teach you better.
Okay.
So then what happens is that you add water, right? You bring it down to 40%. So you're looking for, high quality well water from the soil, right? To do that. So that obviously your water content matters. And then a couple of things can happen. Okay. So the first thing is you can make silver tequila or plata. Okay. This is a bottle called El Último Agave. This is a small distillery in the town of Amatitan in the Tequila Valley. Family owned, the Partida family, big name in tequila. One of the only female sort of people running the distillery. Her name is Ileana Partida. We used to make Tres Agaves there, and then Damrak cocktails, which we'll talk about in a minute. The cocktail brand I have, that they make our tequila. Okay.
So we know they're good quality now.
Now they're very good quality. So plata tequila, silver tequila, can be aged up to 3 months, but doesn't have to be. Right?
You could just drink it the same day.
Yeah, you can drink it the same day.
And it goes bad. Does it go bad, or does it turn into the next step?
No. So there is aging. There is aging that happens, but it won't turn into the next step by itself. The next step is called reposado, which you correctly said means rested, right? So kudos. So reposado, you start seeing here that it's a little bit more brown, right? If you compare these two, right? And so what's happened is this is stored in barrels and rested, right, between 3 months and a year. Okay. I might be a little off on that, but I'll have to double check. But and effectively now the type of barrel can vary. There's no rules, right? A lot of places will use old whiskey barrels, right? Old bourbon barrels. Why? Because the way bourbon is made is they have to use new oak barrels every single time, right? And it's nice that you can use a whiskey barrel and the contact with the wood, that wood has absorbed a lot of the whiskey because whiskey's rested a long time. And so that some of that whiskey flavor in that wood leaches in. You get the coloring and you get the taste. Right? Okay. And then you get añejo, which means aged, right? And that is aged up to 3 years, right? And
golden.
Basically, again, you're just getting more of that color, right?
Which in the misto is just caramel food coloring.
Yeah, the gold is just like caramel food coloring. Might be aged slightly. And then you get extra añejo, which is 3 years plus, right? So yeah, that's basically the aging process. And then a few other things I think that are interesting, like, obviously like grapes, right? Where, in wine, where you get your agave does make a difference because there's different soil conditions, right? And there's different climate conditions. So there's two main areas. One is in the Tequila Valley. So there is an actual town called Tequila, right? And you get lots of brands there like Siete Leguas and Herradura is a big brand there, Fortaleza, even Cuervo. And Cuervo is so big it has fields everywhere, right? The agave you get from there tends to be tequila that's more herby, right, and villanary, right? And then you get the highlands, so the other side of Guadalajara, right? So this is more on the, I think, west side. This is more on the east side. It's a little higher up, and this is where you get Patron and places like that. And that is something. Oh, I was disconnected. That is something where it tends to be a more citrusy.
Interesting. I never really have known any sort of connoisseurs of tequila that actually got to taste all those different notes and things.
Yeah, and typically when you're drinking tequila in Mexico, at least, and this is how I recommend people, is you don't take a shot, right? Because then you're not tasting anything. Is you take a sip, and like literally in Mexico, someone will probably pour you a shot glass, right? But you'll just sip it.
Oh, that's
And
good etiquette to know.
You just sip a little bit at a time. Yeah, and it's just very simple.
I'm gonna basic white girl it and shoot it. I'm just gonna be real. Like, I know who I am.
No, I think you're missing an opportunity.
Yeah, I like to do the old, salt, lime, lick it, shoot it, suck it. That's the 1, 2, 3 of the tequila shot.
Yeah, but you see, that's the difference, right? You need to sip, like especially the aged stuff, like that should be drunk like whiskey, right? Because it has that same kind of flavor thing. So I think you'd be missing out. I would say you're missing out on opportunity.
Well, you've gotten to drink tequila in Mexico. You're using words like reposado and más fuerte and tequila. Are you fluent in Spanish just from drinking tequila?
Depends. How much tequila have I had to drink?
That's right. It is the gateway to the language.
It is, alcohol is a gateway to fluency. Like I can speak whatever I want. I have enough. No, you know what? Like my Spanish is really abysmal. Like, and I never really learned it in school. But yeah, I can. I'd have to go to Mexico and communicate with people who didn't necessarily speak English. So luckily, I'm experienced enough in languages, and I know enough languages to be able to sort of like make myself be understood to understand what they're saying. So, it's pretty useful.
Well, you sounded great with a lot of the words. I thought it was all accurate. So.
Well, I'm sure someone's going to write a complaint on who the hell is this poser.
Oh, we love our trolls.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Come at me. Well, yeah, I was going to say, what is you'd make the drinks, the damn right drinks. So how do you then take the tequila? I love that you brought props. This
Product
is the best.
placement.
And I've had these. These are so good.
I remember she didn't get paid for this. It's coming in the mail.
I did it. This has nothing to do with us related. How do you then take that and then make the drink? Because Rebecca thought you just had a really giant soda stream.
I mean, she's not 100% wrong. So basically, yeah, I mean, it's definitely really interesting. So basically what we do is water, right? So we in a mixing bowl, right? Water, good, well water, good quality, like Highlands well water. Tequila, our lime juice, right, which is frozen organic lime juice concentrate, and then we have some organic flavors that we add, and that all gets mixed up, and then basically just gets put into cans and carbonated and then pasteurized. I mean, that's pretty much it. So the soda stream thing was not actually that far off. Like, we really, but
Bex really nailed this.
Yeah, but I mean, the goal of these is to make them as simple as possible and as natural as possible. So like, if you want to be organic, you can't be adding stuff, right? We wanted to keep them low calorie, right? So I did forget. There is agave nectar in them, right? So we're adding agave nectar as well. And we're trying to balance the right pH, like, because it's got to be the right level of acidity for you to enjoy drinking it, to give you that lime, or in the case of the strawberry, enough sweetness to get that sort of pleasant feel. And then for us, the other thing that we found really important is the level of carbonation matters a lot. Like, I find that a lot of, like, there's sodas, the sort of alcohol sodas that you get are very highly carbonated, and I don't enjoy drinking them. It actually hurts my throat. So we actually have a very low carbonation on this, so they tend to go down very smoothly.
Interesting. Yeah, you don't want to chug a hard seltzer.
No, you don't. No. And this, you could totally put a key in it and, like, do a just down it, right?
We're putting it to test soon. Yeah, Bex and I are going to give it a shot.
Listen, I'm from the South. I can shotgun and drive a boat at the same time.
Girl, you want to marry me?
Yeah. Okay, wait, I had a question. What is pasteurization? Because I only hear about it in terms of, like, milk and cheese. And I'm like, what is it?
I mean, it's pretty much the same thing, right? It's like, it is the killing of cells through heat, of bacteria through heat. And most packaged goods...
Okay, it is heat. I'm thinking, like, milk? I
guess. No, it is.
Yeah, you gotta kill bacteria in milk?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, like, Pasteur, right, where the name Louis Pasteur, French scientist, where the name pasteurization comes from, like, he discovered that children were getting ill because of cow's milk. Like, obviously there was no refrigeration in that period, which I think was the 19th century. And he was like, if I heat it, it kills the bacteria. There we go, pasteurization. Now, you may recall, you probably don't, like, that Odwalla, the fresh juice company, had a major E. coli outbreak that happened because it was not pasteurizing, it was keeping everything fresh. And they were like, and everything had to be called, and there was a huge inquiry. And basically that became the advent of, when flash pasteurization was created, right? So flash pasteurization is kind of what it sounds like. It's a short, very high amount of heat that's applied, right? And then sealed, and you are good to go.
Does that change the flavor then?
So it will have an effect, but, like, the point about making it flash pasteurization is you're trying to make it as unnoticeable as possible. And generally, like, especially when you've got a product with alcohol and water, it's pretty unnoticeable.
How did you decide on your flavors then? Like, I feel like that's, like, another thing. Like, how do you is that just market research, or are you just like, I like strawberry and that's my day?
I mean, look, I'm a big, personally, because of my history and background, I'm a big fan of market research. So, what you do is you look at the market, right? What's selling, right? Sometimes you want to try and bake a trend and do something different, but sometimes it's like, what is going to get people to try it? Because flavors can be, like, turn people on and turn people off. So, like, having a lime was kind of a no-brainer, right? Everyone loves lime. There's a reason. Now, strawberry is an interesting flavor. Like, a lot of the strawberry margaritas out there are very sweet. Still one of the biggest, right? But we did it with a twist.
Yeah, biggest in the frozen game for sure.
Exactly. But we added a twist. We made it a strawberry basil margarita. So we actually tested a bunch of different combinations. And while I was with Tres Agaves, I helped launch 2 different mixes. One is mango chili and one is pineapple ginger, and you can go buy those.
I was going to say mango chili I have discovered, and that's right up my alley.
Yeah, the mango chili is great. We love that one. Pineapple ginger is actually really interesting as well. There's a bunch of other flavors that we tested. And so there's other things that I think, we have in the hopper, and flavors that we developed for Damn Right that we didn't bring out yet, that are just kind of waiting.
Oh, I can't.
Yeah, I've gone down the Truly way, and they have, like, the cucumber and all the different kind of
That makes so much sense. Like, I feel like watermelon flavor is always like, it like tastes like the green part of the watermelon, and that's probably where you get the oils, I'm assuming. And
have you been eating a lot of rinds, Jackie?
So many.
But it's like, I mean, cherry is hard to get naturally right. Raspberry is really hard to get naturally right because, you've got a lot of water.
And grape, to me, never tastes like a grape.
Yeah, grape is hard. I don't know if I would want a grape. Like, it reminds me too much of, like, grape soda, like growing up, like Welch's grape soda. So Yeah, but there's like you can do like a very popular Mexican sort of mixed drink flavor combination is blood orange and cinnamon. So there's
Yeah.
lots of kind of
Ooh. Oh,
interesting
yeah.
stuff there, and blood orange itself is really
Cinnamon.
cool.
I love blood orange. I'm
So
about that.
hey,
That should be your next flavor, Mark. This is my request.
okay, I'm on it. So
Thank you.
yeah,
Got a request already.
I'm happy to listen to requests, but yeah, it's a lot of trial and error and test and learn, and like taking things out and having people try them. Like we tried these, we worked a couple of months at least to get these two flavors right. And so you've got to just solicit people's opinion, but you can't please all of the people all the time, and you've got to know where to go with your gut. That's one of I think the really
So you're
big
going
things.
for max.
Yeah.
Most people who like it. Okay.
I mean, it's also a question of does the retailer have something like this on the shelf? Am I going to come to them like, what's the point that's going to differentiate me, and why should the retailer have this? Like, hey, you don't have anything like this. You don't have an organic 100% agave tequila seltzer. You don't have a strawberry basil tequila seltzer. You don't have this flavor, right? Because ultimately, the store owner is going to go, I have a limited amount of shelf space. I can't afford to have products in my shelf. I need to have them turn. What is going to stand out to people? And how much are you going to invest in that?
Yeah, I also feel like there's like not a ton of tequila ones, so I feel like that also is like super helpful. A lot of I'm a hard seltzer girl. I want a cocktail, but I can't handle the alcohol content. So hard seltzers are really just made for me. But I feel like there's I forget what it's called, but there's a place out of Oregon that has like really good like fruity flavors that are natural as well. I think a lot of the seltzers have that. Yeah, like that artificial taste. And then yours also have like the actual kind of like tequila flavoring in there, which I also really appreciated. It's like the right amount for me.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact is that very few other places use 100% de agave tequila. They use Misto tequila because it's a lot cheaper.
I've learned this. I'm going to say this later and sound like I know something about tequila. I'm like, oh,
You
that's a
do. You just spent
miso.
half an hour with me.
Ew.
Like, you know everything about tequila. Come on, girl.
I took a lot of notes, so I got, I'm getting somewhere.
There will be a quiz
So are
on
you
this.
the person?
There will be a quiz on this at
Oh
Christmas.
boy.
I'm just telling you.
Okay.
And every
Okay,
time you
okay.
get something wrong, you have to drink a shot. So how
There you
long
go.
will you be?
I will be blacked out. Yep, I am going to black out. Can they be baby shots? Because I only do baby shots.
Yes.
Little babies.
Oh, Jackie. So are you actually the person then that is doing the like on-site, like you had a hand in the process, or you kind of come in and source someone who already has a process? Because it's like, sounds like it's years long. So you don't want to start from year zero.
So my business partner and I, and it really is my business partner now, who's doing most of everything, is we started together, and like I was able to bring my supply chain connections and knowledge right to this. But there was a lot of work. I mean, we did it super quickly. We went from idea to kind of being in market in 9 months, which is utterly crazy, given like we had to register a company in Mexico, and there was a pandemic on, and we had to source all of this stuff. But basically, so you need the supply chain, right? You need to understand the legal hoops, right? And of which there are many in Mexico. You have to register a company in Mexico, and the Consejo Regulador de Tequila regulates these things as well. Because if you want to say 100% agave tequila, they come to the factory every time we do production. They take samples and they test it, and it has to pass their lab tests, right, for us to be able to export it. And only then can we export it.
Good for you,
You have to get export certificates and things like that. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. And then you'll see, and you can see this on your tequila, and you can see this on everywhere else. Like there's a little NOM number. It's way too small for you to, but at the bottom there's a little thing that says NOM 15. What is this one? There's their NOM 1522. So that is Hacienda de Oro's, this company's NOM, and it says the tequila is made by them and is exported by them, right?
Oh,
so
this is how you find out of it, and they're faking it.
Well, basically, what it means is who actually produced it. Now, funnily enough, the NOM on this bottle of Tres Agaves is also 1522 because this tequila was made at Hacienda de Oro, right? Because that's who we use. That's how I know those facts. Now, just because, like, so for example, when you buy a bottle of tequila, like you buy the Rocks Tequila Terramana, you need to look at that and go, what's the nom? Because that nom probably does not belong to the rock. You can actually look at the nom and see which company made this tequila, which distillery. And there's a lot of very big distilleries who do what's called maquila deals with companies. So they make it under license rather than having, because you know what? Setting up your own distillery and getting a nom is hard. There are a lot of regulations about, like, firstly, you're building a building, right? And you have to have safety rules and, construction rules and, like, all of this stuff because you're doing a food process. And then you have to do a trial run for the Consejo Regulador de Tequila, and they have to come and inspect you at every single stage and test the tequila you made and make sure that you know what you're doing, that you're not producing tequila that has weird levels of, different alcohols in there. So it's a process. Trust me, I went through it.
I mean, this is way more like technical than the pipe dream Rebecca and I had, which was starting a podcast, right? Like, we didn't have to get like another country involved. We didn't have to build a building. We were like, this logo looks nice, and let's call some people and see if they'll come on.
Yeah, but it probably did start over some drinks, though.
Yes.
I think your career choice is a more appropriate and simpler one. I mean, look. Listen, if you want to make beer, it's easier to make beer. If you want to make vodka, you can make vodka out of freaking everything anywhere, right? I mean, you can make. I mean, if it's got sugar in it, you can make vodka out of it, right?
Corn, potatoes,
rice, fruit. I mean, like, literally.
Oh yeah. Well, you do make your own beer, yeah? Is that is that something you do, like, just at home for fun?
Yeah, that's just at home for fun.
That's great.
Which is, and that's just like, take some grain, soak it in hot water for a while, run it through with more hot water, so you get sugared, grain-flavored water, which is called wort. Boil that, add hops, right? At different stage of the process. Some of the hops you add at the beginning, right? Because the longer it sits in there, it releases some sort of acidic type flavors, and that's what's called bittering hops. So it adds the backbone to the beer. And then in the last 5 minutes, you add more hops, or last 10 minutes sometimes, and those are called the flavoring hops. And it just releases the pure smell, right? And then you cool it as quickly as you can, right? And then you ferment it, right? You add yeast. Sometimes you add even more hops for flavor. Ferment it. Take 3-4 days, change it. Sometimes you let it rest a little bit, and then you carbonate it, and voila, you have beer. Takes about a week.
We got a twofer.
Yeah, see?
Tequila, I got beer as well.
We're double fisting over here.
And what's wrong with that?
Nothing. No, we're happy.
I mean, like, come on, man. Like, don't knock my favorite hobbies.
I feel like that's a tale as old as time. The tequila in one hand and nice Modelo in the other.
It's called chasers.
Oh no, you can't use alcohol as a chaser. I don't like that. I
don't think you're going to be allowed in Britain ever.
No, I'm not. I'm allergic to everything, and I also have dated too many Brits, so it's just.
That's true. I'm not even sure how you're in the same podcast as me, or even in the same room. Like, if I don't send you up into hives.
It might. Okay. What else have we missed about the tequila process? I do have, I think, the most notes I've ever taken.
I know, you're like, I'm making tequila tomorrow.
I think I can.
Vamos a Mexico. Seriously, get down there. No, I would seriously encourage everyone to go to the town of Tequila. It's really beautiful. It's you fly into Guadalajara, take a 45-minute car ride. You get to Tequila. It's a cute little town. There's a very nice hotel, a Relais Chateau hotel there you can stay in. You don't have to stay very long. You can go on different distillery tours and talk to various people, and it's really nice. We'll go to the Highlands. That's probably a bit more of an adventure. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right, Jackie, part 2, our second Mexico trip. That's where we're going next time.
2024. Yeah, we did Cancun last year. Now we'll do tequila. So last year it was right before my surgery, so I couldn't even really drink. It did not end up being as much fun. So we do need a redo, and I feel like the town of Tequila. Where else?
Perfect.
I agree. I'm going to be going to Puerto Vallarta in a couple of weeks, so So I'll be doing a lot of Roicilla tasting, and then there's tequila there as well. So because it's right on the just about in Jalisco. So yeah.
Okay, Bex, are you ready to do this?
All right, let's salute this process. What's the tequila cheers? It's like el centro, el dentro, abajo, arriba.
It could well be. I was going to stop with salute. Like that's
Yeah,
about as far
salute.
as I
Okay.
get.
Oh my goodness.
All right, Jackie.
You young people and your fancy cheers.
That's who's supposed to be drinking and kicking our heels up, not these old heads with their tequila knowledge.
Okay, well, I Googled it and I'm going to destroy this. Abajo, al centro, y pa dentro.
So abajo to below, al centro
Right,
to
centro,
the
in
middle. And then what's the palante? Was that was the last one?
And
al dentro.
E pa apostrophe dentro.
Y pa dentro, like and going on.
And beyond. So from below and the center and beyond.
Don't quote me on that.
I think, Rebecca, you're going to win this because
like a dentro is like inside, right? Okay. Anyway,
so it's going to be down. It's kind of like at the bottom, in the center, down the hatch, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
yeah, like
that makes more
like
sense
in
than beyond.
Dentro, like inside.
Abajo, al dentro, al centro, al dentro.
Okay, I like this. All right, this makes Jesus.
Okay, now we're ready. We've set our cheers, our intention.
First thing we learned is that a tequila is a mezcal, not a mezcal is a tequila.
Right.
That we're gonna have to tell the coworker soon. She probably already knows.
Muy bueno.
And tequila can only be made in tequila. Otherwise, it's a mezcal. I'm nailing it so far.
Okay.
Almost. It can only be made in the state of Jalisco, which includes tequila.
That's what I said.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And now we've got all different kinds of agave types, like the blue Weber agave, and we're going to, it's kind of like, I was relating it to like the coffee bean process. I guess there's no drying, but you do have to roast them.
I did hear a lot of similar words. Also, the blue Weber agave is the only one that you can make tequila out of. Otherwise, that's
very good.
Mezcal?
Yes,
okay.
Very good.
Aha,
very
also,
good.
Great. There's the Regulatory Council of Tequila, and you would like to make them happy because they take a lot of tests when they stop by.
You got to keep them happy.
Keep them happy. You can have a bad tequila, which had a little frowny face. That's a 52% misto. And I also put equals college drinking.
Which I'm assuming is just because it's mixed. It's mixto, it's mixed with other...
Yeah, it's the alcohols are mixed. So you've got agave-based alcohol and another non-agave-based alcohol mixed.
And other. Okay, boxed wine. And then you have the de agave, and that is the 100...
agave.
Pura de agave.
That guy.
100%.
Yeah, pura de agave.
Which is apparently technically 99.9, but I guess that's 100.
Close enough. We go on averages here. The agave plant is what you need to make tequila, and that takes about 6 to 8 years to mature. But we're going after younger agave plants right now, which might affect the taste. So there's that. And once you harvest it with what sounded like a sickle.
Scythe?
Whatever. What is a sickle?
I don't know what it was called, but I'm like, yeah, sickle, a scythe.
Okay.
We'll give it that one to you. It's called a koa. It's whereas a sickle or a scythe is curved. This is actually a small semicircular blade on top of a long stick.
Oh, okay. I think I can picture the like hold it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. You semicircular sounds right. And then you roast it.
You harvest, then you roast it in
Take
a
it to the mill
oven, which was a smiley face. I think that means that you want to do it in a brick oven, or you can do it in a big steam oven, and you then you put it in a pit with a donkey, and
that's the old-fashioned way. Now we got multi-step process mills.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. I would just like to
Multi-steamroller
add that the
diffuser.
donkey is not in the pit with the agave. Like we like to we treat our donkeys well.
You
Just
just
want to
shove
say
a
that.
donkey in the pit and then you get tequila.
Shove a donkey in the pit and see what happens.
See what happens. Okay. But okay, that gives you agave nectar, which you put in
Yeah,
a
very
vat, which
good.
could be steel,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
you add some yeast, and that ferments for
Yep.
3 to 5 days.
Yep.
At this stage, you can make agave beer. Bex, you got anything? Is this just
I said some key things.
okay? Okay, well, now we're distilling, and that can be in copper or other metals. And the first batch is no good. We don't want that batch, but it's
Mhm.
23% alcohol. My notes are so on point. This is the most on point my notes have ever been.
And
The
then you
second,
Extra
get to
test.
the 50% and you add water. Is that when we're
it's the
adding the water?
second, well, it's the second distillery, you get roughly to 50%, and that's at that time you can add water, or you can do the third time, which is smoother, doesn't really change the alcohol content. Might not taste as good though, because it killed some
Lose
of
some
your
flavor.
friends.
Lose some flavor friends
Yes,
in there.
lose some flavor. And then you add
Yep.
water to make it 40%.
And then that's when
Exactly.
you start fermenting it. Yeah? Or no, we already fermented.
it. We fermented, we
We already
stilled.
fermented.
Now we're
Distilled.
resting it? Is it?
Well, we can rest it. So now you can keep it for 3 months. And that's silver, 3 months or less.
Plateau?
Next one is rested, reposado.
Reposado?
That was 3 months to a year. Then we
Yeah.
have añejo, a year to 3 years, and extra añejo, 3 years plus.
And you could do
Yeah.
those whiskey barrels, get a little bit that caramely, that whiskey flavoring.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then you put a
Excellent.
worm in it and you put it on the shelf.
Oh yeah, what's the worm about? Okay. That was the rest of the comments.
I just, you were doing so well. You were so full of promise. And
Rate
then
us
you would
separately.
hit that American Ninja Warrior, hard.
I am the worm in your
Rate us
tequila.
separately. Rate us separately.
Traitor.
I did so good this time.
And you definitely went up to a 9 out of 10. I think that was excellent.
You did it.
Your partner may have carried you slightly, Rebecca, but we'll give it to you.
Hey, what's
carried
what
me.
good is drinking alone, you know?
Exactly. You're buying next time.
Yeah, next round's on me.
So the worm thing, to answer your question, the worm thing was a marketing gimmick to make tequila stand out. Now, I think what it is, and I could be wrong, is like there are worms that are found in the leaves of the agave plant. They're actually edible, and actually they make a salt out of them, right? That's used on the rim of margaritas and certain things. It's actually really good. Look, when you go to Mexico, they have crickets as bar snacks.
Yeah, I've had
So-
that.
Pass for me.
I'm into it.
Hey, guess what? The future of world protein is crickets. So I think you better get used to it.
I'll eat beans. It's fine.
Okay. I'm just glad I'm not.
Yeah, and have no
Listen,
friends.
But then, so that worm, I think, is what they started putting in the bottle, and it just kind of this myth developed around it, with mezcal and drinking the worm, and because you've gotten to the bottom of the bottle, but it was a marketing gimmick.
I feel so lied to right now because that totally worked on all of my high school friends and I. We were like, oh yeah, you get the worm, bite the worm, or whatever it is. I forget what we used to say, but
And
that
they would actually
totally
do
worked.
it?
I mean, I had friends who said they did it. I don't know. I'm sure they
I've
did
never
it.
actually got to that point somehow.
Do you think I
don't
would
know.
ever eat a worm?
No, but I'm maybe you've seen someone do it. But yeah, I grew up in San Antonio, and I feel like when we'd go down to the Riverwalk, sometimes the gift shops would have those a lollipop with a tequila, the worm in it, or I don't know, weird Mexican crossover culture.
That's really funny. I'm gonna go to San Antonio next week.
Oh, remember the Alamo?
I love it.
I never remember to go there every time.
You know what's funny? I've never been there. I don't know.
I got drunk by myself during the pandemic and walked around there for so long and was like, there's so many people and it's a pandemic and I'm too drunk. That was the night that I broke my ankle almost going to a drag show wearing a skirt, high heels on a scooter. It was dangerous.
The Jackie way. The just doing Jackie.
Mark, if we want to drink some Damn Right cocktails, where can we get them? Oh, how do we get them?
So, two ways. One, go to shop.damnrightcocktails.com and go and order some online. They can be shipped to you wherever you are in the United States, or go to damnrightcocktails.com and click on our store finder, and you will be able to find some. In LA, I said it, Sarah, you'll be finding it in California, in Texas, in Massachusetts, in Colorado,
Okay.
Connecticut, Missouri, and soon to be New York.
Okay, you have like a wide barrage of states there. Like I was
Yep.
like you got each kind of corner basically.
Yeah, those are some
I like
cool
this.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wait, I forgot Massachusetts and Rhode Island. I don't think I mentioned.
Oh, when we go to
So,
Boston,
yeah.
maybe we'll
Boston
see
is
if we can.
Yeah.
We will have some Damn
Long
Right
dis-
cocktails when we go to Salem, Massachusetts. This is going to be great, Bex. We'll take pictures.
Absolutely. Damn right.
Damn
you are.
right, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, go check them out.
Anything else you want to plug, Mark, or messages you want to share? Otherwise, we'll be finding those cocktails soon.
No, go check out Damn Right Cocktails. Go and enjoy. Drink responsibly. Oh, and by the way, every time you buy a Damn Right, up to 5% of profits go to schools and underfunded school districts.
Oh, amazing.
We'll link it all
So
in the show
not just
notes.
tasting good, but also doing good.
Oh, we love that. We love that.
All right, Jackie.
All right,
well,
Bex,
we're damn
let's go
right.
get drunk.
We're experts now.
Yours was
Damn
great.
right you are.
That was great. And that was the show. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we hope you stay curious.
If you enjoyed this video, watch our other videos here on YouTube, or you should listen to the episode on We're Experts Now podcast. Bex, where can they find us?
You can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart Music.
And what if they want to talk to us?
If you have ideas for something you want us to investigate, send us an email at we'reexpertspod@gmail.com. That's wereexpertspod@gmail.com.
Great job on that spelling.
Cool.
A+. Do you do this professionally?
I believe we're both doing it professionally right now.
Wow. People should know about this.
I completely agree. And you can find us on Instagram at We're Experts Now Pod.
Thanks again. And if you enjoy the show, subscribe and comment, and do not forget to leave a 5-star tip.
That's a great idea. Are you a podcast expert?
I think we both are. I think
We're experts now.
This has been a Just Being Better Media production.